The legacy of Pennsylvania steelworkers lives in the bridges, railways, and skyscrapers that make up our great American landscape. But our workers' loyalty was repaid, you know it better than anybody, with total betrayal. Our politicians have aggressively pursued a policy of globalization, moving our jobs, our wealth, and our factories to Mexico and overseas.
You know, it's interesting. Right after that, everybody went into detail about how pretty much every single thing that Trump manufactures is made overseas. But overlooking that for a second, Donald, he delivered a serious policy speech about the economy in Pennsylvania earlier today. But the Donald, he's facing some pretty serious headwinds, and we're going to see if today might mitigate any of this. New poll from NBC News and Wall Street Journal shows majority of people in his own party wish that they had a different nominee. And Politico says his convention could be filled with tension. It contacted more than 50 prominent Republicans and says hardly any of them want to go to Cleveland, let alone speak in Cleveland. They want to steer clear of Trump and everything that goes around with it. All right, Richard, once again, you draw a short straw. So, yeah. Listen, you're going to be there. You've obviously spoken to other people who are delegates and involved in the party. I thought for him today, he still didn't seem natural in the prompter, but he did better than before. I think he may have even calmed some nerves, at least taking one step to doing so. But nonetheless, people are worried this is a train wreck waiting to happen. We don't know what happens tomorrow. He's never gone 48 hours with being consistent on messaging. How worried are people in the party right now? Not just about what's going to happen in November, but what's even going to happen in Cleveland, and if they want to be party to it, getting on that stage?
Yeah, so I think there's obviously some concerns.
Give me the real answer, too.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
There's obviously some concerns with the Trump campaign. First and foremost, organization. You need to have a 50-state organization, and that is really not existing in a Trump campaign, and that's why Trump has to rely on the Republican National Committee for that 50-state strategy solution, which I've been part of in the Bush administration, so I understand what that looks like. That's not here yet, all right? Secondly, funding is also an issue. When he has a couple $1 million in the account, which you expect a Congress member to have $3 million in the account, but he's a presidential candidate. So
how much is it impacting the funding, by the way, down ticket races, where people would have given money, but they've been hesitant because what's at the top of the ticket?
All politics are local, so people are going to still give to their particular candidates if they like them, regardless of whether, it's their down ticket for Trump. So that's been my experience. So there are a number of issues, but I don't see that these issues are going to be something that's going to deny Trump the presidency. If you look at the polling, he's trailing Hillary, but not by a whole bunch. And if you look at the polling in states like Florida, Ohio, Virginia, those are the very important states that you need to pick up. He's not trailing by much at all.
But,
so there's still
again,
a lot.
At the risk of it being inside baseball, because Brent Scowcroft doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people. I know to you, obviously, the name means something. Richard Armitage, I can go up and down the list here. You have none of the former presidential, nominees, let alone Republicans that are going. Mm-hmm. You have basically everybody in the field is having legitimate reservations, even endorsing him, let alone going. You saw what Mitch McConnell, the Senate Majority Leader, had to say. So what Paul Ryan, the House Speaker, had to say. You wonder if they're even there. And now we're hearing there's a litmus test that if they don't endorse Trump before the convention, they won't have a place in Cleveland and they won't be allowed to speak. If, in fact, that's real, how are we going to be having crickets out there? Or who's going to get up there?
Listen, they'll find people to speak, but that's not important. What's important here is that Trump, like Romney, get 90% of the Republican vote. 90% of Republicans that come out have to vote for Trump. And then he's got another,
But I'm talking about the convention.
Another
like
big
40 million,
chunk
40 million people
of
who are not Republicans
who
have to.
are not going to vote.
Well, and those are certainly challenges. But again, looking at the polling, he's trailing. Well, I would absolutely speak, of course. It's about the country. It's not about me. It's not about Trump.
Right, yeah.
It's about red states and blue states. We're not that. We're United States.
If you had to give a rah-rah Trump speech, would you speak?
I would. Because, again, this is about what's best for, and I believe no matter what Republican is elected, no matter what Republican is elected, is going to be better than Hillary Clinton.
Okay.
Did you say that about, seriously, no matter what Republican, it doesn't matter who they are?
Right. I'm talking about any president. I'm talking about the ones that ran for president.
Richard, though.
The
Party
16.
affiliation only. for someone who was not a Republican, has not been loyal to Republican principles, I'm arguing on the other side for you.
No.
I can't understand that his lack of stability. We have a tremendous challenge in Turkey tonight. This is a person whose stability and understanding of the complexities of the world are going to be called into question a million times between now and Election Day. How are you going to stand up there, Richard?
Listen, this is very easy, right? President Obama was a state senator for longer than he was a U.S. senator. And,
He was elected a multiple number of times.
But in terms of, and the reason why he had Joe Biden on the ticket was because he didn't have any international or foreign policy experience. And so you bring in the people that you need.
Okay.
Look, at the end
So
of the
let me
day, as a
ask you-
president,
Nobody
you
has
need to be an
enough experience to
executor.
offset Trump.
But Richard, let me ask
Trump
you
is an
this.
executor. He's
Richard,
an
let me
executor.
ask
He
you,
makes decisions.
because you're a Republican first, and Trump way down the line.
Well, I'm Richard first.
What was absolutely? But what was for you the biggest grimace? Was it when he called the Indiana-born judge a Mexican? Was it when he said he wants to borrow Muslims from coming in the country? Was the various ethnicities, groups, whether it be disabilities or race or whatever, that he's insulted? At what point do you say, I don't know if I can go that far with this guy?
Well, listen.
Obviously, a lot of
was
other people
wrong.
in your party did.
No, he was wrong. Look, Paul Ryan said it. Mitch McConnell said it. Those are the leaders of the Republican Party in Congress, and I absolutely agree with them. He's definitely wrong in making those statements. Banning all Muslims, but he's retracted that to say
Was there almost a line that you're like,
only
I
Muslims
can't
for countries
cross-
in which we're at
Right.
war with. So there is some progression here. I mean, obviously, saying the judge because he's of Mexican descent, but he is an American, that has some sway over the case. That's absolutely
you're
ridiculous.
an attorney.
That's ridiculous.
And you're a veteran. The idea that he would get the launch codes, or that he would disbar or not allow judges, depending on their faith or their family's ancestry, to be able to be judges, again, as a guy who's a member of the bar and is a proud veteran, doesn't any of that scare the heck
He
out of you?
hasn't said any of that.
Yeah, he did.
That he doesn't, but depending on what your
Oh, he said
ancestry
a
of-
Muslim he doesn't think should be able to sit on any of his trials. He also said that he didn't
I was
think
talking
somebody
about
that had
judge.
a
I was talking about
Mexican
judge, not-
relative.
Said inherent conflict of interest.
Yeah, in terms of your ethnicity as a judge.
All right,
He
let me
doesn't
ask
even
you
say
this
that.
much, guys. Do you think he helped himself today, his speech?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The themes that he played on and the place where he's playing on it, if he's going to make a dent in Hillary Clinton, it's going to be in that part of the country. It's going to be in the industrial Midwest. It's going to be in Pennsylvania. It's going to be in West Virginia. It's going to be in these places where jobs have been lost to outsourcing and lost overseas, put aside for the fact that he was one of the people who helped do that as a business person. But there is an undercurrent, and we saw it in the British vote on the
We
Brexit.
did, but
There's
here-
an undercurrent of people who are angry and want somebody to blame.
You guys always tell me, Rich, you always overestimate how invested the voter is and what's going on or not. But my point is, today a report came out from a nonpartisan group that if Trump's economic plan of basically protectionism came in, we would lose more than 10 million jobs in this country. And our debt would go, let alone our annual deficits, would go through the roof. I have a feeling Hillary's not going to sit on that information, let alone you look what happens in Britain right now and people freaking out that they want to do a do-over. That's
Can
gonna.
I ask you a question, Richard?
Yes.
It's your show, but I want to ask you a question. What do you think resonates more? Because Trump may have helped himself today.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, if that's what he's going to do in the teleprompter, he might as well quit now, because it's awful. It's not him. I don't care how many pundits say he should be on prompter. That was awful. And it does not resonate with his base.
I think I'm one of the few guys who agrees with you. Yeah.
But here's the question I want to ask you. What do you think resonates more? Trump and his personality and not knowing what he may say next, or some report that came out that says that his budget, what it will do to the economy? What do you think resonates more in middle America?
Easy answer is Trump and his personality. But here's the only thing. People who don't care, never heard of Brexit before, said, wait a second, my 401k went down $3,000.
That's not what they say. What they say is immigration, keep them out. Trump sounds like that. I'm down with Trump.
And look, they took their country back.
And they took their, thank you, and they took their
they
country
didn't.
back. They don't say their 401k.
But doesn't it matter at all that it never happened?
The illusion
You're
of I took
pretending
my
that
country
Hillary's
back.
not in this conversation, that there isn't a conversation that she can credibly have with blue-collar, white, and other colored working people in this country about how she will do better for them by jobs. She's not putting her head down in the sand and pretending that these things haven't
And when
been
she shows a commercial
tremendously
about him talking about
damaging.
his sprinkler systems at his golf course, when all of a sudden we're going to hell in a
There
handbasket.
are so many Democrats who have opposed many of these trade deals, notwithstanding President Obama, that oppose them and know that they've been bad. She's going to make that argument. She's not a wallflower on these trade issues.
Although
She
she
needs to
did
find a way to-
support,
she needs
though.
to find a way to speak to them that will resonate.
Yes, I
Exactly. And she
understand.
supported the trade agreements too.
She did. She did.
She
So-
did,
Yep.
but she, you know, you give Trump a pass for changing his mind. He retracted on Muslim. He didn't retract. He completely changed direction and never
I'm
said
not saying that you
sorry."
can't change your mind. That's absolutely.
I gotta
you can,
talk.
but-
We come back
has
local
a tough
next.
time- she's got a tough
Primary
time
day
planning.
today. We're following some key races. Even if in your neck of the woods there's sleepers, trust me, the primary to replace Charlie Rangel is anything but that. It's also marking a changing of the guard in terms of one of the lions of New York politics.